Come on in. Come on in. Good afternoon, people. Hit the thumbs up as you come in. I really appreciate it. Let's see here what we got going on. We got a lot going on today. Ran YouTube is only 15 minutes. What? Who are you? All right. We'll get started in a minute, folks. A lot going on today. Let me see if I can find that. As you know, more states are criminalizing people sleeping in their cars, like homeless people, van life, that whole thing. What do you think about that? Are we criminalizing poverty? The thing we're going to talk about the most today is this gig economy, YouTube, X, Airbnb. They're all evolving, so it's making it more difficult to, a lot of people were making a living at the gig, with the gig economy. I know of people who went out and bought really nice black SUVs, really expensive, to drive exclusively for Uber and Lyft. In full disclosure, I don't know if, what the status is of their endeavor. Okay. Maybe it's going well. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people invested a lot in these platforms. Airbnb is another one, right? We're going to show you how these gig economy platforms where the company owned nothing but leveraged the ownership of others to build these businesses. Smart strategy, okay? How that's coming under pressure. And the folk that are out there doing DoorDash, YouTube, Instagram, they are not doing as well, okay? It's because that whole paradigm is evolving. And evolution is agnostic, okay? One day you're a T-Rex. The next day you are a barrel of oil, okay? Because meteor came through and you couldn't adapt, right? Give me a second here. Yeah, here we go. Talk about this van life thing. Changing up the channel. Well, yeah. We're talking more about technology. We're talking more about its technology's intersection with the economy and how it is causing the economy to evolve. We got to know this stuff, guys. Otherwise, we're going to be at the mercy of these developments. Okay, let me share something so it won't look, so the screen won't look crazy. Hold on, and then I'll get to some comments because I know a few of you are in here. 1 second. Deb, how you doing? Thank you, Deb. I appreciate that. Had a couple of business meetings this morning, and I just said, man, let me just keep this on for the loyal citizens of Tyronistan. Hold on 1 second. All right, if you're in here, we're going to get started. It's 2 o'clock. Hit the thumbs up. We put up the latest financial tip. Hold on. economic talk amongst yourselves. You know, guys, we have that economic survival guide that we started, right? healthwealthlink.com/join. That's how you can get that weekly survival, economic survival tip. There's no cost to you to sign up and go through that information. There's never any cost, okay? So it's not like there's no cost to you to sign up. No, there's no cost associated with it at all, except your time to go in, read the tip, implement that information so that we can better and more successfully navigate this evolving economy. And again, you can get that at healthwealthlink.com/join. We're actually going to be doing a big, we got people love what we do, and I'm so appreciative of it. I got a call from a local restaurant up in Towson. They are putting together this event next week, right? Well, they put together an event for next week. They're going to have the streets blocked off up there. It's going to be like restaurants are going to be competing in what's called the server games. They're going to have different bands out there and whatnot. Going to be great. And they called me and they said, hey, Tyrone, we're giving you a booth. We're not going to charge you. We want you to have this booth. Come on up and talk about Health Wealth Link and the economy and all that to whomever will listen. All right. So, okay. All right. So let's listen to this young lady here. This was, her name's Dawn. She was a member of In Vogue. We're going to talk about briefly this whole thing where we're seeing the criminalization of sleeping in your car as more and more people find it economically challenging to live. Now, I want you to understand homelessness is a very expensive endeavor. When you are out on the streets, and especially if you are a young lady or an older lady, whoever you are, if you're out on the streets, a lot of crazy stuff starts to happen after 10 p.m. Having been a first responder, I can tell you that the bulk of what goes on out there, you never even hear about it on the news, okay? There'd be a 24-hour news station in your area devoted to crazy crimes. That's how much they go on, right? So when you're on the streets after 10 p.m., things can get interesting. So a lot of folk that are living out of their vehicles, they're trying to find safe spaces to, to sleep. Now, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, she brought up a great point because the whole thing went into the Supreme Court and it was defeated. The notion that you should be able to sleep on public property, right? That was defeated. So states have started to criminalize that. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in her dissent, she brought up a great point. She said, sleep is a biological function. It is not a luxury or some sort of indulgence. It is a necessity. At some point, we just fall asleep as biological beings. But you can't do that on public land. So the homeless not only have limited choices, but they also take a risk of being arrested and fined. Okay. Another reason why homelessness is expensive, because you run afoul of these laws that you might not be aware of, and you find yourself with fines. There's no place to store food. So you got to spend food on, your refrigerator helps you save a lot of money. Just being able to store food, you can have leftovers, things like that. You really, that's problematic when you're homeless. So let's hear from this woman. Oh, and by the way, many of you may recognize her. She used to be the lead singer of the R&B group in vogue. So she's an example of the vulnerabilities out here, economic vulnerabilities can impact anyone. And look, she probably mismanaged her money. Okay. She was in the music industry, so that's a shady business to begin with. Here she is. Let's let her speak.
You guys, for the past almost 3 years, I have been living in my car. I said it. Oh my God, it's out.
En Vogue's Dawn Robinson is living life on the road and loving it.
If you would have said to me while I was in En Vogue, you're going to be living in your car one day, I'd be like, huh? No, I'm always going to have an apartment. I can't live in my car. How can I do that? That means that a lot of people are paying attention to En Vogue, that we are now an entity, that, you know, we are a thing that people talk about and go to see and watch the videos and all that stuff.
Yeah, things are looking a lot different these days for the singer, but she says this new lifestyle wasn't something she was forced into, but something she decided was right for her after realizing she couldn't live with her parents.
I love my mom.
All right, I understand you might not be able to live with your parents, but I had a problem with this when she put it out there initially and tried to make it seem like this situation was preferable to, you know, oh yeah, I'm doing van life now. This is great. I'm allowed to explore me and all of this claptrap. Look, let's just be real. If given the choice between living in a structure like a house or an apartment and living in a van, come on, okay. Anyway.
Mom, but she became very angry. And I was like, I can't deal with this.
And, you know, yeah, your mom probably was not ideal in terms of matching up the behaviors, but I get the impression that this chick needs to live by herself because she's probably not the easiest person in the world to get along with. And I'm not going to, you know, psychoanalyze her or anything like that, but I'll let her go on.
And having trouble finding a permanent home after getting empty promises from a manager of hers.
He said that I could stay with him and actually didn't have room for me. So it turned into, okay, well, I'm going to put you in a hotel for the night. And that one night turned into 8 months. Every apartment that I looked at, I would call him and I'm like, okay, can you meet me here? And then he wouldn't meet me there. And so I would take video and send it to him.
Oh, so he was busy living his life, doing other things. How dare him?
And he's like, no, oh my God, this neighborhood, I hate it. I'm like, dude, I'm the one who has to live here.
That's when Dawn discovered
there's a whole community of people that live in their cars. And I loved what I was seeing. I just thought, wow, these people, I could do that. I could do this. I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
All right, enough. I just wanted to put her out there. She put herself out there. As someone who was of means at some point, now living out of her car, it can happen, right? But there are a lot of people that are doing this and it's being criminalized. So look, another reason among many to have our shit together, you know, to look at the world and say, you know, we don't have to fit in to the paradigm that has been created, right? Generational households, that needs to come back. And she said she couldn't live with her mother. I'm thinking her mother's probably the one that had the better argument here, right? Okay. But there you have it. Okay. Deb says, isn't it funny how it is accepted and actually ignored in some places? Yeah. I tell you what, Baltimore City, you got a lot more to worry about if you're homeless than the cops. Okay. And fines and stuff like that. And I'm sure it's like that in many, many areas. The Freaks Come Out at Night. That song was accurate. All right. My grandmother used to tell us, you know, if you could see what is in the night, you wouldn't go out in it. And Denzel Washington said, The devil comes out after 10 p.m. And look, just from the standpoint of a first responder, he ain't lying. Rockhouse, how you doing? Breathing is also a biological function. Holding my breath, get it? That they don't make that illegal on public ground. Hey, don't give them any ideas, Rockhouse. Juke Joint, how you doing? Says she's crazy as hell. Yeah. Dev says, hasn't vagrancy always been illegal? Yeah, I believe it has. America's a business, right? I don't know of any country that takes kindly to, there may be compassion out there, but you got two things going on with the homeless right now. These 501c3s, for the most part, they see the homeless as a cash cow, a growth industry. Okay. So you got that. And then you have, this is why we're having this video today, because people have to, when I talk to people who do DoorDash, for example, a lot of them are on the edge economically. And all it will take is a flat tire or a busted transmission, and they are going to be in a bad situation. A lot of Americans are out there like that. Now, when I was growing up, we came up in a multi-generational household. So, we all helped each other out, right? All the adults, they made it work. Everybody was out there either, working and making money, or in the case of, my mother, she was teaching us, she was cooking food, she was cleaning the house. Everybody made it work. So there is that. Guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. I'm learning more about what YouTube is doing in terms of some of the changes that they made. And I learned that sometimes they don't boost live streams because they don't quite know what you might say, and they can't really catch it until after the fact. So to help with the algorithm, just go ahead and hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. All right, look, here's the deal. Uber now keeps most of the fare from your ride in some cities, according to a new driver study. These people who drive for Uber they're feeling it. Uber's take rate, or the percentage of each fare that the company hangs on to, has risen above 50% this year in some cities, according to analyst analysis by Lynn Sherman, an executive in residence and adjunct professor at Columbia Business School. That's well above the 15 to 20% share of each fare that Uber took about a decade ago, Sherman found. Uber does not regularly report its take rate. I understand why. So it's my car. I'm paying insurance, wear and tear, gasoline, all that's on me. All Uber, I won't say all Uber does, because it is a genius concept. Uber kind of works out the logistics and dispatch and all that. All right, great. But your take rate, you're taking more than 50%, but I'm taking 100% of the risk here from getting a fender bender with somebody in your car, right? Now, I'm sure you have to have a special kind of insurance to do Uber. At least I think you do. And it would be smart for you to have something like that to shield yourself from liability. But okay, so Uber, they're changing the way things work here. They're saying, yeah, we're going to start taking more your fare, even though we know that we don't own that car. Okay, your time, your material, Uber gets 50% or more. All right, and then we have DoorDash. I don't know how much of this I want to play. He's a good Michael Bordenero clips. This is a good channel. He talks about the economy. Let me see if we can just play a little bit of what he has to say here.
gig workers all across America going broke. The gas prices have surged far too high for most of them to make a profit. And in many cases, a lot of the rideshare opportunities
That's the other thing, gasoline, right?
and things like that that come up are not even worth it anymore. This makes me wonder if we're even going to have a gig economy or Uber drivers in the next, say, 10 years or so.
Honestly, I think it might be sooner than that we see that go away.
All the automation, with all of the AI, and with how unprofitable driving for these programs has become, makes you question their future. Take a look at this. Here's an example of one driver where every time a ride pops up on his phone, he only has a few seconds to decide whether to accept it before another driver takes it, which shows you there's still a lot of competition. This is in the Los Angeles area, which I'm sure it's always going to be highly competitive there. Okay. So here's a couple of options that you might have as one of these drivers. One ride comes up that might pay only $7 for just a little over a mile ride. Sounds good, but it takes 7 minutes just to get to the person that you want to go pick up. Another opportunity might come up where it's a little over $23 for a longer trip across town that could take you an hour. You could get an airport run, for example, that could come up. And that's a little over a 13-mile trip, which in Los Angeles could take an unknown amount of time.
All right. So another thing you're dealing with is the oversaturation of players in the space. All right. When we first saw these apps come out, you know, there weren't a lot of people doing it. But as the economy softens in certain areas, you're going to see more people seek these type of opportunities. It's the same with YouTube. Okay. I listened to a stat yesterday, and YouTube's got like 1 billion videos that go up in it doesn't even take a day. Okay. So a lot of people are migrating to YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, trying to put content out there in the hopes that they can use those programs. YouTube calls theirs AdSense, where you get paid. Somebody watches an ad on your video, and you get a portion of that. You get I believe you get 60%. I don't even know. And I'm in the program. I don't even know. But I think it's 60% once you get monetized. Okay. And that's a whole nother issue that recently came up here. Hold on one second. Let me see if we got any comments. All right. My Dana Designs. I hope you're doing well. This is the first time I'm seeing you here. I appreciate you joining. Here in California, state law requires Uber to pay minimum wage, $17 an hour, on top of tips. They are taking more of the fare because Uber is mandated to pay wages now. That's a great point. Thank you for clarifying that. That makes sense, right? So at the end of the day, who's at the bottom of that pyramid, right? The consumer, okay? And oversaturation of drivers is diluting the earning potential. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, just like oversaturation of YouTube creators is, there's so much out there to watch, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I sit here and work, or when I'm driving, I'm listening to YouTube. Fascinating stuff. I watched a video about this prehistoric dog. I like the Wild Kingdom kind of stuff, right? And it was just great production, great information. It was great. So I watch a lot of YouTube, but I would say that for the amount of YouTube that's out there to watch, remember when TV was in its heyday, there were only 3 channels, 4 if you position the rabbit ears just right. And there was a limited amount of stuff to watch, right? Dallas, Miami Vice. Who shot JR? Well, if you wanted to find out, you had to tune in at a specific time. That's the other piece of it, right? All of this stuff is now on demand. Alex says, good afternoon, Tyrone and Tyrone and Stan. Wisconsin came close to electing a socialist governor by 3,000 votes. I saw that. The lady, I saw that. Yeah, you guys got out of that by the skin of your teeth, but 3,000 is a very narrow margin. I'm going to look into her because being a socialist, I'm sure she had a platform giving away a lot of stuff, and basically would have culminated in a lot of the businesses looking for exits, which is what we're seeing in New York right now. Let's see here. Okay. Airbnb, right? A lot of people invested in Airbnb, went out, bought properties specifically to Airbnb them out. All right. Airbnb isn't profitable anymore. I'm going to tell you why. And you guys may have some ideas around this anyway, as well. The hotel industry caught up. They caught up. They started doing some aggressive advertising on the benefits of a hotel as opposed to Airbnb. I've never stayed in an Airbnb. I really don't like to. Hell, I need an RV. That where did we stay when we went down to Portsmouth, Virginia? Not Portsmouth, Williamsburg. We stayed in a Holiday Inn Express, and it was nice. It was really nice. The staff was very nice and professional. You would have thought these people were working at the Waldorf Astoria. We went into the little bar area. That was very chill. It was in a nice area, very clean. The only issue we had was the pool and the hot tub. My wife said, hey, I want to go and get in the hot tub. I said, all right, I'll take my computer down there and do some work while you luxuriate in the hot tub. But when we got down there, there was like this film on the hot tub. And it was obvious that it had not been cleaned in a while. So my wife said, no, I ain't doing that. And we talked to the hotel staff about it, and they said, you know what? You're right. It's not clean. They shut that bad boy down the next day, and there was someone in there cleaning that place. So Holiday Inn Express, I liked it a lot. I got to tell you, and you guys may have stayed in Airbnb, and maybe this is an unfair criticism, but when I think of Airbnb, I'm like, I don't want to stay at your house. You might have cameras or something, right? There might be someone in the walls. I know it sounds crazy, guys, but this is the kind of stuff I think about, right? I don't want to do that. Now, obviously, I'm in the minority. A lot of people do participate in the Airbnb, but they're coming under some headwinds. Many Airbnb hosts who once enjoyed full calendars are now struggling to break even lately. It can feel like Airbnb isn't profitable anymore. The work stays the same, the stress increases, and there's less money left over at the end of the month. So this goes through the realities of that. Again, there's oversaturation. The hotel industry has become more competitive in terms of prices and amenities. All right. Guests are more demanding. Local rules have been tightening too. Okay. So that is like not what it used to be. Have you guys ever heard of this app called Turo, where people are renting their cars? Okay. Their personal cars, right? They'll buy a car. And I'm like, when I heard about it years ago, I said, that's going to fail. That's going to be a colossal failure. And the reason I said that was, and you know me, guys, I don't like to knock hustles, but when you look at that and the way people look, if I'm coming to you to rent your car on Turo, to me, that says you don't qualify to rent from Enterprise. And that's a problem. Okay. Now, I let my buddy borrow my car one time, and I was nervous as hell the whole time he had it, right? And I never did that again. He asked again, and I said, no, I can't do it. Because for much of my life, my car has been integral to my personal economy. Okay. But people have some horror stories with regard to Turo and these cars. So that's out the window, right? Let's see. LJ, how you doing, LJ? Says Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley won the Democratic primary in the race for Wisconsin governor. He's just as bad. Who's a Republican running up there? Does Milwaukee do Republicans, or is it just a fait accompli that the primary winner is going to have the seat? Deb says, I agree. No Airbnb for me. My granddaughter and friends have used them. Hit the thumbs up, guys. I really appreciate you. Yeah, I know a couple of people that have used them several times, right? But no, not me. Not me. My Dana Design says, I rented an Airbnb once and paid the host directly because he complained about Airbnb's high fees. Okay. All right. Ain't that something? So to go through their app, we're seeing it like with Uber. With what was the other one? It wasn't Uber. It was the one we just looked at. Yeah, it was Uber. So it's my house. Okay. I got all the liability. Well, most of the liability here, because it really is. If something happens, they're going after Airbnb because they've got the money, right? But I'm getting included in that. That's how the law works, right? I got the mortgage. I got the insurance. A lot of the risk, wear and tear, landscaping, property taxes. Okay. But it would have never been possible for you to get that rent. And that's the other side of it, right? So you're in the rental business. You're in the short-term rental business and in the hospitality business as well, right? Because you got to be responsive to these folks if they have a question or an issue. So there's a lot involved there, right? Let's see. All right. Now we're going to talk about, hold on for a minute, guys. I got to mute this. I got somebody working on my lawn tractor. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Alex says, I would only do Airbnbs from people I know directly. Okay. Rockhouse says, with the high cleaning fees and crazy conditions of Airbnbs, people are going back to hotels where they don't have to take out the trash. Hey, right. Another thing I did not like about and it's not Holiday Inn Express. This is all hotels are doing that. I went to throw a couple of shirts in the washing machine, right? And it required you to use an app. And it was, this is not good. The guy that's repairing my tractor is asking me, how do you start it? Hold on, guys. Hold down it's a John Deere tractor. Break and make sure the blade, live TV, guys, is not engaged. I just had to pay $100 to a contractor for some work that I could have done, but my tractor is broke. And you guys know doggone well I don't dig that. So hit that thumbs up, guys. What was I saying? He took me totally off track. In any event, let's talk about how to like YouTube yesterday, they made this big change that everybody's talking about. When I got this channel monetized, I had to have 4,000 watch hours in a year. Okay. And I eventually did that. It took me a couple of years, right, to do it. Now they want 8,000 hours. They are going to be running ads on videos that are produced by channels that are not monetized. So imagine someone comes into the game, right? They got to make this 8,000 watch hour requirement. So all throughout that you know, from hour 1 through hour 8,000, YouTube will be monetizing that for their purposes, but you'll be doing all the work and you won't be getting paid anything from YouTube. All right. So how do you deal with this? Well, look, the reality is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, these platforms do allow you to reach potentially a global audience. Soldiers of Finance doesn't get much views, but we do have a global audience. We got people all over the world sending me notes that watch the channel. Now, our challenge is expanding upon that, right? Look, we got a sponsor, the Baltimore Blast. We got another one coming on that's got a wider reach. Baltimore Blast indoor soccer, right? So the Baltimore Blast took a look at this and said, hey, you know what? You got a lot of watch time hours for our purposes, okay? He got it started. I just heard it. So we're willing to throw you a few bucks if you mention our name. Baltimore Blast, indoor soccer, an affordable sports entertainment option. Okay. Free parking. You could take the whole family without, you know, needing to take out a second mortgage. The NFL is ridiculous. Okay. One hot dog is like what, $20? Something crazy. Richard, how you doing? Richard says, we're coming to a point where the only thing that really makes money is assets. Richard, we are getting to that point. Listen, you can use your intellectual capital as an asset for now. You can build an audience. These platforms are such that if you get AdSense at some point, great. But you've got to go into this now in such a way where you've got to leverage it not as a side hustle. It's got to be a real deal for-profit venture, all right? A venture. So how does that look with Airbnb? Well, I'm reluctant to speak on that because I don't know the economics well enough of Airbnb. But let's take Uber. If you build up, okay, it's not enough for somebody to just get in your car and take a ride from A to B. It has to be an experience, and you've got to have some kind of way to capture that person's information and to be able to communicate with them. All right. Now, everybody gets in the back seat of your car is not going to want to do that, right? But there has to be some value proposition to picking. I picked on Deb yesterday, so let me do Richard. Richard's Uber as opposed to Joe Schmo's Uber. There has to be some value proposition there, right? That will say, hey, you know what? I want to deal with this. I want to see if this guy's available. And it's got to be done in such a way where you are shooting for the bigger fish. Airports, all right? Remember, I used to go to the airport. You used to go to the airport or the train station. Train station in Baltimore, yellow cabs were lined up around the block, literally. I have not seen a yellow. I go pick my wife up when she comes back from Connecticut sometimes, and I go pick her up. There's no yellow cabs there. It's all Ubers. Ubers driving up, dropping people off, taking them out. Same thing with the airport. I have not seen an airport. Our airport taxis used to be white. I've not seen one in approaching a decade. All right. So what I do see is these black SUVs driving up. All right. You got to really, it's not back in the day, you could just start a YouTube channel, and if you had something halfway decent to say or interesting, you were going to make some money. All right. Not anymore. Not anymore. None of this side hustle stuff is working the way it used to. All right. So you got to scale it up. You got to scale it up, or just say, hey, look, I'm not driving all the way out to the airport for $18 and back. When you sit down and do the math, it doesn't compute. When you factor in gasoline, you got to look at what is my hourly rate here. If you're taking Uber trips and you're just trying to, do volume, that's got a finite. That's a finite prospect when you're just when you're doing it by yourself, right? People are always going to need rides. Maybe Uber is not the answer. Maybe you exclude them altogether. People always need rides from the airport, all right? And I'm going to say this. I firmly believe that with AI, it's not there yet, but in a few years, you are going to be able to build your own app that you can focus toward your clientele, okay? I will use this opportunity to again say, guys, look, we are putting out our financial services company. We put out a financial tip every week. We just put one out yesterday. Okay, it's third week. These tips are free, actionable. You go in, implement this, and it is stuff that is going to make a difference in you being able to put more money back or keep more money in your pocket. Okay. All you got to do is go to healthwealthlink.com/join, sign up, and we will just send you the tip every week. Okay. So make sure you do that. Hit the thumbs up button while you're here. All right. So the other great thing about this, take what I just did, right, on YouTube. I don't believe that there's anyone on this stream right now that I would have had the opportunity to interact with outside of YouTube, right? So take Richard. Now, Richard, you're up in Wyoming, or is it North Dakota? I keep getting, it's one or the other. Look, beautiful country out there, both states, right? I've never been to either. And if I did go, the chances of me running into Richard, striking up a conversation about healthwealthlink.com/join may be a little difficult. Montana, okay, I got it completely wrong. I'm going to visit. I'm going to visit Richard. He's in either North Dakota or Wyoming. So what did we just prove? I'm not going to be good at being your Uber driver. Oh, sir, we're in Wyoming. I know he's in Montana. Close enough. The draw here is the ability to interact with people now and get them into your ecosystem. All right. I don't know what you could possibly do in a Uber that would make people. I have had cab rides where I say, damn, that was a cool dude. You know, I hope I run into him again. You know, I have had that experience. So if there's a mechanism by which you can facilitate that, and then at the same time, these things have got to be scaled up. Another reason it has to be scaled up, guys, is because a lot of people out there fighting for their life. 53% of Marylanders say they can't pay all of their bills now. That survey just came out this morning. All right. So the paradigms are shifting, but I don't think enough people, rank and file Americans, are shifting with it. The 9-to-5 job, nothing wrong with it. I worked plenty, had a great time. Okay. Met my wife by virtue of working in the 9-to-5 world. Left nothing on the table, had a great time. But the reality of it is layoffs, especially after 50. I've had so many people that I know laid off after 50. All right, because you're at top pay. You got weeks of vacation. They go out there and find some kid that just graduated. This is nothing new, right? So we've got to be very, very assertive about saying, hey, we got some new technologies here like we've never seen before. YouTube. Who in the world would I have gone to back in the 1980s to be able to talk to Richard in this fashion, right? I would have had to have millions of dollars in order to either get on national television or figure out how to get on the Montana stations, right? So that's a hell of an advantage that we have. The same holds true for these platforms. Now the platforms are different. Here on YouTube, with the exception of a live stream like we're doing now, most of the time, you know, you're watching. Facebook, you're an active participant going back and forth, maybe commenting on something. dropping your information in. We're going to do more on this because people have to understand. They've got to be able to understand that if we don't adapt and overcome, think about how many people, I know you know people that were kind of left outside the economy because they didn't adapt with computer technology when it became, ubiquitous. I know people that happened to. Or the internet, or you still hear people, I'm not tech savvy. And then I think about the fact that that's really something you need to correct to some extent. Now, is Tyrone going to be able to build you a computer? No. But I can go on and navigate my way through applications like Infusionsoft, build sites, build flows, build email engines that help me build an audience, build a customer base. Okay. All right, guys. So listen, take a look at the upload that we did yesterday. Okay. It's about life extension. Now, before we get crazy with it, it's got some interesting ideas in there that the biotech industry is saying, hey, if we can extend the healthy lifespan of the average American by 1 year, this nation can save $1 trillion on healthcare alone. But beyond the technology, we got some philosophical and spiritual aspects to that many people may not be comfortable with, right? Then you've got the question of, well, who's really going to be able to afford it, right? Is this going to be the Hollywood thing where Brad Pitt is going to be able to extend his lifespan so he can keep doing movies or something like that, right? But check it out, all right? We're trying to look at these technologies that are coming to the fore and learning how we can exploit them and use them to our advantage, okay? So when it comes to these platforms, especially the social media platforms, you got to build an audience. And you've got to be able to communicate with that audience. Otherwise, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to do here with healthwealthlink.com/join. Suppose YouTube came to me a year from now and said, hey, you know what? You recorded a video a long time ago where you said that there aren't enough lesbians in the country to support the WNBA. And we don't like that. We don't like what you had to say. So we're going to take your channel away from you. Now, unless I took steps to be able to communicate with my audience outside of YouTube, in the last few years would be for naught, right? Opportunity wasted, right? And I would like to believe that anyone that goes to healthwealth.com/join would like to communicate with us in that way where we continue to be able to give you additional value beyond just watching the videos, okay? Alex says, well, our foods are being poisoned with forever chemicals. That is true. We're going to do something on that as well. Thanks, Deb, for watching that video. Guys, I'm going to go down here and help the guy that is supposed, and I'll just be transparent with you. The guy is my brother. He's very mechanically inclined, okay? But he could be hooking up something where I have to flip a light switch in order to engage the blade on my lawnmower. He's got crazy ideas, guys. He built a truck like that, a Chevy S10 from spare parts he got at the junkyard, and he had it at my property. And I said, hey, man, I want to move your truck because I'm doing some work in that area, but I can't get it started. He said, did you flip the light switch? I said, no, I didn't. Flip the light switch, thing started right up. So let me go help him out. Guys, hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. I really appreciate you. I thank you for hanging out, and I'm going to talk to you soon.